Magandang umaga, Pilipinas! Welcome to Eagle News Mornings from Canada. I'm Archie Rose Natividad Yi, coming to you from Vancouver in the province of British Columbia, Canada, bringing you news and commentary from across the country. Here are some of the stories we'll cover today. Canadian Prime Minister joins virtual G20, pledge to support developing nations in COVID-19 fight. Residents of Quebec given a moral contract for the holidays. New health orders in place as COVID-19 cases in British Columbia continues to rise. Demand for support from mental health services rises in Toronto. Independent Samoa confirms first COVID-19 case. And in sports, International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach visits Tokyo 2020 Olympic Stadium and Athletes Village. We start another week. Good Monday morning. As you're grabbing a fresh cup of coffee, here is what the weather looks like today. First, let's check out Manila. AccuWeather is forecasting a high of 26 degrees Celsius with partly sunny skies. Our weather street scene comes from New Westminster in British Columbia. Thanks to Jeff DeLeon for this video. Let's go across the country, starting from the West Coast. Vancouver, Canada, rain at 6 degrees. Edmonton, cloudy at -4 degrees. Calgary, cloudy at -3 degrees. Winnipeg, cloudy at -6 degrees. Montreal, cloudy at 1 degrees. Ottawa, cloudy at 0 degrees. Toronto, snow at 1 degrees. St. John's, New Brunswick, sunny at 2 degrees. Now over to our top stories. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, along with the top leaders from the virtual G20 Summit, made a pledge to support developing nations in the fight against COVID-19 through the Global Project Act, or access to COVID-19 tools to make vaccines, tests, and therapeutics, as well as its COVAX facility to distribute vaccines, accessible to poorer countries. According to the final communique released by G20 host Saudi Arabia, the leaders said, quote, "We will spare no effort to ensure their affordable and equitable access for all people, consistent with members' commitments to incentivize innovation. We recognize the role of extensive immunization as a global public good," end quote. Canada also signed on to the extension of the Debt Service Suspension Initiative, or DSSI, a program that suspends the debt payments of developing countries to free up resources for health, social, and economic spending in response to the crisis. The program, first initiated in April, was thought to conclude by the end of the year and will now be extended until June 2021. To receive DSSI relief, eligible countries must first apply for an arrangement with the IMF, or International Monetary Fund. To date, 46 of 73 eligible countries have seen relief in $5.7 billion in debt payments in 2020. G20 finance ministers will meet with the IMF and World Bank again next spring to examine whether another extension is required based on the global economic needs. The G20 Summit talks also included the discussion of bolstering the global pandemic response to better prepare for any future health scares. The leaders pledged to prepare long-term solutions to address the gaps in the global health response. The Premier of Quebec offers a moral contract to the residents for the holidays in an effort to reduce COVID-19 cases. Eagle News correspondent Cara Cabusao Pascual reports.
On the recent press conference by the Premier of Quebec, Premier François Legault, based on discussions with health public officials, according to the Premier, private gatherings will be authorized during the holiday season from December 24 to December 27 inclusive. The Prime Minister has offered Quebecers a moral contract coming in 4 stages. First, to maintain the current situation until holidays and beyond. Second, residents are to participate in a voluntary confinement 1 week before and 1 week after the authorized period of private gatherings. That is from December 17 to December 23 and from December 23 to January 3, 2021. Third, maximum of 10 people can gather in the period of 4 days in the holiday. And lastly, the Premier encouraged to protect each other, especially elderly people. With this contract, parties and gatherings on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day are prohibited. Traditional office and staff gatherings and parties are also prohibited during the holidays, and travel from region to region are also not permitted. Furthermore, Premier Legault with Minister of Education Jean-François Roberge, the Premier has announced that primary schools will be closed from December 17 to January 3, 2021. Students will be returning to their classes on January 4th. As of secondary schools, they will be closed from December 17 to January 10 inclusive. The pupils will also follow a distance education according to the established school calendar. Companies were asked to maximize teleworking for their staff and reduce their activities, where possible, according to the Premier. The government of Quebec intends to put all its employees who can do so in telework from December 17. As well, in the red zone parts of Quebec, restaurants, performance halls, theaters, cinemas, and gyms will remain closed until January 11. To date, in Montreal, there are 294 new cases, and in the Quebec province, there are 1,259 new COVID-19 cases, 9 deaths, and 624 hospitalizations. This is Cara Cabusao Pascual. We live in interesting times.
Many Ontarians are seeking for support from mental health services due to COVID-19. Here is Eagle News correspondent Sabrina Solano de los Reyes with the story.
Due to the heavy impact of the COVID-19 pandemic from prolonged isolation and physical distancing, financial difficulties, and the massive daily intake of new information about the virus, many Ontarians have experienced a large range of mental health and addictions challenges, raising the demand for support from mental health services and the province's police officers who respond to these mental health calls. That is why the province has announced that it will be providing $37 million in expanding the justice system's mental health services. Take a look.
It's important that our police receive the training and the support they need to respond to these calls. It's very important they have backup from trained mental health professionals who can help them de-escalate situations and get people the help they need. So today, I'm sending in reinforcements for our police and mental health workers. We're investing $37 million to significantly expand mental health services across the justice system, including hiring additional staff, expanding mobile crisis teams across the province, and supporting tailored programs for First Nations communities.
Associate Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, Michael Tibolo, provides a breakdown of the province's mental health services and support expansion.
As part of Roadmap to Wellness, our plan to build a connected and integrated mental health and addiction system We're proud to be investing $37 million to significantly expand access to mental health services across Ontario's justice system. These services will support the challenging work being done by the many brave women and men of Ontario's law enforcement services every single day. It will also lead to better supports for individuals living with mental health and addictions challenges and assist Ontario's frontline heroes in handling mental health cases. This funding will bring much-needed supports to Ontario's justice system, including supportive housing programs designated for individuals involved in the justice system, mobile crisis services, as well as for safe bed programs to support them, addictions and withdrawal specialists to support safe bed programs, enhanced addictions programming within adult correctional institutions, mental health and addictions peer supports for offenders under community supervision, a corrections peer support program, and mental health and addiction supports for vulnerable and marginalized persons as part of the Ministry of the Attorney General's Justice Centres.
Solicitor General Sylvia Jones also explains the importance of providing support to police officers responding to mental health crises and frontline workers working in correctional facilities. Take a look.
In the community, police officers are often called to respond to situations involving individuals in crisis. We know these situations can often be better addressed by a support system that includes a mental health worker. That is why our investment supports the implementation of mobile crises teams, which assist police in de-escalating high-pressure situations and connect individuals with the mental health services they need.
Premier Ford encourages Ontarians who are struggling to reach out to Ontario's mental health services. For more information on Ontario's mental health services and hotlines, visit ontario.ca/mental health. In Toronto, Sabrina Solano de los Reyes, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Still to come, new health orders in place as COVID-19 cases in British Columbia continues to rise. Independent Samoa confirms first COVID-19 case. And in sports, International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach visits Tokyo 2020 Olympic Stadium and Athletes Village. You are watching Eagle News Mornings from Canada.
It says the best defense is still containment.
We are in uncharted territory.
By level you 450. If I want to 100%. Traffic back. Suctioning.
Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News Mornings from Canada. I'm Archie Rose Natividad from Vancouver, British Columbia. As COVID-19 cases continues to rise, British Columbia's top doctor issues a new health order. Eagle News correspondent Jeanette Duwaza with the details.
British Columbia's Provincial Health Officer, Dr. Bonnie Henry, issued a new provincial health order due to the quick and sudden resurgence of COVID-19 cases in the province. As of the issuance of this new order, there are 6,926 active cases and 321 deaths due to COVID-19 since the start of the pandemic. This order is effective November 19 until December 7. The order includes no social gatherings and events outside of the households. Dr. Bonnie Henry clarified this. Let's listen in.
So that goes back, and that's a bit of a technical language. The mass gathering and events order is on the website, and it refers to the restrictions and limits. The maximum number of people we could have in an event was 50, and these events could take place in many different places. Those are now suspended across the province for the next 2 weeks. While places of worship are to have no in-person groups services for this period of time. And I've had the privilege of meeting with a large number of faith leaders from around the province, and this is important. And they understand that we need our faith services more than ever right now, but we need to do them in a way that's safe. And with the community transmission that we're seeing, and the fact that we have seen transmission in some of our faith-based settings, we need to suspend those and support each other and find those ways to care for each other remotely.
Schools and workplaces remain open. Masks are now enforced in all public indoor settings and workplaces. Employers are required to enforce the policy with their employees. Likewise, they can refuse entry or service to customers if they do not wear a mask. All workplaces were advised to be more diligent in enforcing their safety protocols on a daily basis. Otherwise, they may face fines and possible closure order if found non-compliant. Indoor group physical activities considered to be high risk remain suspended. When it comes to travel, Dr. Henry did not issue a travel order. She did emphasize that all non-essential travel should be avoided. For people coming in from outside British Columbia, they were asked, if at all possible, to postpone their travel, and if not, to minimize their social interactions and to follow the order and guidelines in British Columbia. Dr. Henry called the attention and have an appeal to the young people and young adults.
I especially, though, want to recognize and appeal to young people and young adults to help us in this effort. I know how difficult this has been for you and the impact on your lives. I know that you have been missing birthdays and graduations and celebrations of these important transitional moments in our lives. I also know that you have been role models and inspirations. Young people have proven that they have resilience, that you're adaptable, and that you're brave. And I'm calling on all of you right now. I need you. I need you to be superheroes, to step up, to hold the line, and to help all of us get through this.
In British Columbia, Jeanette Tuaso, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
The independent state of Samoa has reported its first case of COVID-19 despite current travel restrictions and months of success in preventing the virus from entering the South Pacific nation. Eagle News correspondent Alfred Acenas files this report.
Mr. Tulia Epa Sailele Malelegoy, the Prime Minister of the independent state of Samoa, offered some words of calm to his fellow countrymen of more than 200,000 after confirming that a man flew into their country last Friday and tested positive for COVID-19 while in a supervised, isolated environment. During a televised address on Thursday, the Prime Minister stated, and I quote, "We now have one case and will be added to the countries of the world that have the coronavirus." The said patient was a sailor who arrived in Samoa on a repatriation flight from Auckland, New Zealand. Until recently, the remote Pacific Island states were among the most successful in the world at keeping out the virus after closing their borders early in response to the threat, despite the huge cost to tourism-reliant economies. But in the past couple months, countries like Vanuatu, the Solomon Islands, the Marshall Islands, and now independent Samoa have lost their coveted virus-free status. although none have so far reported any community transmission. To recall, around this time last year, Samoa had to deal with a measles epidemic that claimed 83 lives, most of them babies and toddlers. Samoa is also trying to avoid repeating history as it lost more than 10,000 people during the influenza pandemic more than a century ago. Now, even as we speak, the island nations and territories of Kiribati, Micronesia, Nauru, Palau, Tonga, Tuvalu, as well as American Samoa remain free of COVID-19. Reporting from Honolulu, Hawaii, I'm Alfred Asenas, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you.
IOC President Thomas Bach visits the new Olympic Stadium and Athletes Village ahead of next summer's postponed Tokyo Olympics. Joining us live this morning is Eagle News sports correspondent Tenny Sumagi. Good morning, Tenny. Tell us more.
Good morning, Archie. Like many others around the world, we hope to see athletes compete in the Tokyo Olympics next summer. Last Tuesday, Bach visited the Olympic Stadium, which was built on the same site that was hosted during the 1964 Summer Games.
In this kind of uncertainty, it's only human that you also feel uncertain about such a big event like the Olympic Games in 9 months from now. And this we have to understand and to keep explaining that in 9 months from now the world will look different, and for what reasons it will look different. And there you see that even under the very difficult conditions now, we see that big sports events are being organized and are being safely organized and are being successfully organized.
The postponed Summer Games is scheduled to take place from July 23rd to August 8, 2021. In New York, Tenny Sumagi, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you so much, Tenny. Now, the Olympics are known for their grand opening and closing ceremonies. Which is the most memorable performance from the Summer Olympics?
Well, I'm going to go trace back to the Atlanta Games in 1996 when Muhammad Ali lit up the torch. That was very, very inspirational. And I look forward to the programs. I love listening to the performers. The most memorable is your own Celine Dion, Power of the Dream. To realize the power of the dream. One of my favorite songs by Celine Dion.
That's amazing. I know every time these opening and closing ceremonies come up, it always gives me chills whenever we get to witness them. Now, can you share with us some of your favorite sports to watch and even some of your favorite Olympic athletes?
Well, I always look forward every 4 years to watch swimming, because swimming is just not, it's not like the NBA or soccer where it's, where we usually see competition where we report. We only pay attention to swimming every 4 years. And, as a female, you gotta love looking at the bodies of those male swimmers. Don't you agree, Archie?
Yep. Do you have any favorite athletes that you look forward to?
Well, my favorite all-time Olympian would probably be Michael Phelps, obviously, for, how many Olympic medals. He's, I think, the record holder. And I always love track. I'm a big fan of Usain Bolt. But I'm looking forward to these Summer Olympics. Hopefully the pandemic will end. We'll see new sports like in swimming. There's going to be mixed relays where males and females compete together. There will be skateboarding, surfing, and golf will be back in the lineup. But there's one sport that I like, which is not popular in North America, which is handball, which is a European sport. I did play that at work with the kids that I work with, and it's a very fun. It's like a hybrid of soccer. It's handball, but it's like soccer, but you just throw the ball in the net. So I actually like watching that, like those no-name sports.
Yeah, definitely sounds very exciting. You know, hopefully things improve globally so that we can see these up-and-coming sports that debut for the Summer Olympics. So thank you so much for joining us today, Tenny.
Thank you.
Well, that's our program for today. Join us again next week as we bring stories that matter to you. Visit our website at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Also, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube. Thank you for watching. I'm Archie Rose, Natividad Yi. We live in interesting times. Stay tuned for Kid Cuento.
Tayong mga Filipino, likas na palabati. Sanay rin tayong makipagkamay. Pero dahil na rin sa COVID pandemic, isinusulong ang pagbati na hindi na kailangan pang makipagkamay.